Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you may be watching this transmission. It is I, Mike Martins, bringing you another very informative and very important discussion about housing. Welcome, guys, to Trends in the Housing Market, broadcasting from Merritt, British Columbia. Starting out in Auckland, New Zealand, from Auckland, New Zealand, down to Christchurch, west to Sydney, north to Melbourne, west to Perth, northwest to London, north to Ireland, west across the pond to Toronto, across to Vancouver, down to Los Angeles, and across to Miami, and back up to New York. Connecting every English-speaking country under one umbrella. It is Trends in the Housing Market, broadcasting now for 3 years plus. I don't even know how long I've been doing this, guys. I've been doing this for years now. And here it is, Trends in the Housing Market. You can go back and watch every episode. Predictions, some post-dictions, some kind of interesting theories that got out there and that are happening today. And it's in every English-speaking country, unfortunately. Mr. A-Team604, what's good, Mike? Yo, what's up, dog? How you doing? Good to have you on the... we got comments rolling here, live stream. A lot of people watch this on replay. If you want to join us on live stream, we are live at 7 p.m. Western Seaboard time. That is Tijuana, LA County, Oregon, Seattle, and Vancouver time. Okay? So don't forget to join us on Can't Read Market Talk. Don't forget to join us in a couple of other things we got going on in the show. Trends in the Housing Market, Mike in the Night, The New Generation on Saturday nights. Yeah, if you could join us on Mike in the Night, it's really good on Saturday nights where we discuss other things outside of housing. Okay, let's move on. I want to thank my Patreon supporters for supporting me. I am at 15 Patreon supporters, so if you want to support this transmission by donating $1 a month, that's all I ask, just to help out. I bought a new mic. Look, see? I'm investing in the... Look at this. That's nice. And that wasn't cheap, folks, but if you want to hear me in stereo... It costs. So, anyways, jump into the comments section. Let's see who is live. It looks like we're getting a nice, strong connection tonight. Let's see who we got live here. We already got 3 people watching. And I haven't been live for been 2 minutes live. So usually we get up to about 80, 90, 100. And then the transmission gets cut off for some bizarro reason. And then we have to pretty much start over from scratch. So that happens a lot. I don't know why. I think YouTube is allocating bandwidth to more important channels where people are pouring gravy down their pants and making makeup out of crushed candy and bizarro things. So, anyways, all right, let's kick off with better dwelling. Toronto and Vancouver homeowners see HELOC payments jump. Again, you guys know how I feel about these stupid HELOCs. These HELOCs are reverse mortgages. In the States, they call them second mortgages. There's home equity loans that basically eat up any equity that is in your house. Why would anyone in their right mind pursue something like this? Why would anyone in their right mind work towards getting themselves in more debt? So I had this conversation this morning on Market Talk where people are spending more than what they make. Okay, they spend more. They're like, well, Mike, you only make X amount. Well, they're indebting themselves. People are spending more than what they make, and this is why they can't raise interest rates and put us back on a normal economic level. They raise interest rates. Guess what? Your banks start paying you an interest rate to hold your money. The bank pays you instead of you paying the bank. You start getting money out of your savings. Things start to go back to the way when things were normal. When we leave these damn economies on autopilot and then let them resurface on their own. We got Owen in the house. Good old Owen. I'm so happy to hear that he's here with us tonight. So, guys, we got a lot of news from the entire Commonwealth. It's actually scary, especially in New Zealand with their setback, and then with Canada not lowering interest rates. Sorry, so we're not in a good position right now, guys. it's good that they didn't lower interest rates and held back. That is probably the most morally, economically thing they could do for Canada and to protect its people from inflation and losing all their savings and everything they've worked for their whole lives. Toronto and Vancouver homeowners see HELOC payments jump. So I guess we're going to have to open this up and see what's going on because our friends at Better Dwelling here. Toronto and Vancouver real estate, show notifications, yes. Toronto and Vancouver real estate owners flocking to home equity loans. Canada Mortgage Housing Corporation, CMHC numbers show debt payments increased in almost every segment in Q1 of 2019. The largest growth was in home equity lines of credit. Obligated payments, HELOCs, grew 3 times the rate of the second fastest growing segment of debt. Everyone's tapping in their homes, using them as bank machines. It's disgusting. Obligated what? So banks and governments have shifted. Yeah, government. See the big G word with banking. You don't want governing in your banking system. You don't want governing in your what you eat for breakfast. You don't want governing in everything you do. The government has shifted households from total debts from total debts to the cost of servicing it. Yeah. Today, we're looking at obligated payments to service the debt, which in a fancy way to say, we're looking at minimum or scheduled debt payments for various segments. Falling out of obligated payments often mean more resilience. In effort of a financial shock, higher payment means households are more vulnerable in the event of financial shock. Ideally, everyone but banks wants to see payments at least rise slower than income. So here's the problem. Rents are going up. Everything's going up. Nothing's hedging against the income. Inflation's going up. So when inflation goes up, rents go up. But wages aren't going up. Brother John in the house. Brother John in the house. Mike Martins, how are you? I'm doing good, brother. Hope you're doing well. So here it is. Toronto HELOC payments outpace mortgage growth. Why is it outpacing mortgage growth? Because nobody's passing the damn stress tests. Everybody's failing. So here we go. Toronto and Vancouver debt repayment growth. Here's the HELOC. That's the Toronto HELOC. Oh, go to Jassab. Go to Jassab. Okay, I know what's going on now. Oh, Toronto's economy. Everyone's borrowing for their house. Debt. What's annual rate of average household debt payment segment? 14.48. They're servicing more debt. Look at Vancouver. Look how much debt they're servicing. There's their mortgage. Look at the HELOC. So now that nobody's tapping in or no fresh meat's getting into the housing market, mortgages probably dropped to second and then HELOCs went up to first. Because that's where all the lending's coming from. Woohoo! All right, let's see what's going on here. Well, we got 20 people watching already. Thanks for joining, guys. Jump into the comments. Don't be scared. There's LOC. Wow. Up. Credit card payments. I am surprised credit card payments are this low. So it's 3.39%, 3.39 points to service credit cards and 2.6. And auto. In Toronto, people are servicing, and then it should be negative here in Vancouver because Vancouver's is the city. They're trying to ban automobiles, and transit is everywhere, right? There's HELOC payments. Vancouver HELOC payments outpace mortgage growth. There it is there. God. It's well known Canadians have been flocking to HELOC debt over the past few years. That shouldn't surprise anyone, especially if they've seen the total balance swell. In fact, that's going much faster than any other segment in debt. Debt should be a concern. We are a debt building society. We're no longer building wealth. We're no longer accumulating wealth to aid us into retirement. How are we going to retire? How are most people going to retire off a $200 pension? And let's go back here. There's one more story we need to cover here, guys. Before we jump into Australia is Australia media. Woo! I love it. We'll get to it in a sec. We'll get to the Australian media in a second here. Okay, what's going on here? What's going on? All right. Canadian mortgage growth picks up, but is still slowest in over 20 years. No one's being approved for mortgages. Canadians are taking out more and more mortgage debt, but at an unusually slow pace these days. Bank of Canada BOC data shows outstanding mortgage credit reached new high in July. Mortgage growth is improving compared to previous months. However, this past July is the slowest rate for growth in over 2 decades. This week's top stories: Canada's largest real estate markets see delinquencies climb and prices rise. So we're seeing a lot of delinquencies, and believe it or not, the job markets are a complete lie. So whatever they're saying, the job markets are saying, you're seeing payroll. You're seeing what the payroll is saying, and the payroll says something else. That when you look at the payroll earnings, you get this much, and then you say they got this much jobs, but how do you have this many jobs if only this many people are getting paid? That's a problem. So time for your cheat sheet. Let's move on here. That's just a little cheat sheet for the week. We're going to go through it here. Canada's GDP gets a boost by deepening reliance on real estate. Woo! Woo! Keep backing our economy on real estate. That's the way to go. Don't worry about exports. Don't worry about trade. Don't worry about production. Don't worry about creating private sector jobs. Create more government jobs. Woo! So, real estate. Canada's dependency on real estate to grow the economy just got deeper. Australia's doing it. Hey, don't worry. Australia's doing the same thing. Brother John saying, bottom line, house prices will need to come down. Interest rates going down. Have cash golds for great deals to come. That's 100% spot on right there. It's kind of slow in the comment section today. I'm not too sure why. We got some people watching. Come on, guys, get in there. Canada's dependency on real estate to grow the economy just got deeper or made a death rattle. Statistics Canada numbers show residential investment showed quarterly growth in Q2 2019. The increase represents one of the few sectors' growth that boosted the GDP in the most recent quarter, while residential investment rose on the quarter. Do you know? Do you have an idea why the mortgage sector helped the GDP? Because people are borrowing on their HELOCs and using that to spend and consume. Woo! All right. Vancouver real estate developers drop new inventory by 90 points. Greater Vancouver real estate developers are launching less units, a lot less. MLA Canada numbers show July saw the fewest new pre-sales units launched in years. Developers have been delaying new releases in response to weak absorption. Fewer launches did help from the absorption ratio, but even with firming scales came more developers leaving. Wow. Toronto new condo prices rise while detached losses got bigger. So are you trying to tell me that condos are going to be worth more than detached housing? Because that's what's happening right now. Belinda's in the comments saying, hey, Mike, I'm here, just not feeling well. Well, get better soon, please. We need you to be strong. Greater Toronto new home sales are picking up, but taxpayers are mixed on prices. Altus Group data shows new homes across Greater Vancouver made a double-digit climb in July. Even with the rise in sales, trade volumes are still light this year. Prices followed with mixed income, condo prices accelerating gains. So there you guys have it in a nutshell on what's happening in Canada. Is like pretty screwed. The two major cities are really either going to bring Canada down or destroy Canada's the GDP. It fathoms me how they try to base our economy on housing. Why is a majority of our economy based, or why our economy or our GDP is growing to housing? It makes no sense. Because it's an up and down cycle. That's why they get to keep propping this crap up, you know what I'm saying? And let the layoffs begin. That's what's happening now. Vip said, anyone knows what's next after today's debacle? Are you talking about not raising rates in Australia and in Canada? Or are we talking about what's happening in Hong Kong? Hong Kong's from Mike in the Night. Anyways, Sydney house sales. Oh, what happened in the UK? Leave a link below in the comments. Vips, let me know, please. I got a few UK stories here. Not sure if it's what's happening in the UK, but I got a few stories here from the UK. Okay, Sydney houses resurge as political stability returns confidence into the property market. So we had Andrew Baker this morning on Can't Read Market Talk, and he had a really good analysis of inventory versus turnover. So with the amount of inventory that exists in Sydney, it would take about 100 years to turn over all the inventory to what is actually selling. So think about this. Oh, this much sales are up 1.6% rise. Yay! But Andrew made a very valid point this morning. He said, that's great, it's going up, but there's a tiny problem. To flip all the inventory in Sydney, it would take about 100 years at that rate of 1.6. So instead of transferring $100 million a month in sales, instead of transferring $300 million or $500 million a month in sales, they're doing less than $100 million in sales. So there's no confidence right now, and there's not enough turnover in the market, and there's not enough first-time home buyers, right? Andrew Clark says, sell your silver stocks quick. China and U.S. agreed to meet in October for negotiations. Chinese Minister of Commerce. No, I'm not selling my silver stocks because there's nowhere left to go in the markets. Nowhere left to go. The unexpected Morrison government in May had to ease concerns about potential changes in leading policies and investment rules, he said. So basically the boomers. House price index. So here we go. 1.6% for August 2019, up in Melbourne. Brisbane up 0.2%. Adelaide and Perth still down in the pits. Hobart up 0.5%. People are watching this that haven't been following are wondering, why the heck is Hobart up 0.5%? Well, a lot of Sydney-siders and a lot of people from Melbourne and other parts moved to Hobart, Tasmania, whatever you want to call it. They moved there, and they brought prices up through the roof. Canberra and capitals as a whole 1.0%. Regional down 0.1%, and national 0.8%. So this is it. This is, let's keep going with, watch this. Apartments could crack the housing market recovery. There's an oversupply on markets. There's oversupply on the markets. No one's buying anything. The turnover's small. First-time home buyers aren't getting in the markets. The stress test isn't working. Hold on, I gotta wet my beak here. Woo! Come on. Yep, 26 Gunter. Fed now GDP forecast is down to 1.5% for Q3. Guys, we have a shrinking economy. Okay, we're going into our fourth quarter of a shrinking economy. We're not hedging, like we're nowhere near to hedge against inflation. Okay. Yeah, it was 2.2%. It's not high. It's good, healthy would be anywhere from 2.9 to 3.9, right? China was seeing 6% forever in their GDP growth, right? There's no recovery. It's just a bigger bubble, and we're seeing it on the home front, right? And like I said, governments spend more than what they're taxing, and hey, you know what? The governments aren't off the hook. The consumer spends more than what he makes. That's the scary part. So I don't care what GDP looks like. When the GDP, when I covered it here on this article, I just want to bring this up so we were on the same page here. Canada's GDP gets a boost by deepening reliance on real estate. What the hell? All right. Australia holds rate, watchers and waits as Sydney property jumps. So they want to ease investors. They want to ease people in the markets, owners, foreign investors, not to be, yeah. So, okay, we got TJH in the house. We got Owen. I think Canada is going to hold interest rates again in October. I hope they do. I really hope they do so we could start. But I mean, what's going to happen with all these people tapping into their HELOCs or second mortgages or refinanced credit card home mortgage or whatever you want to call it. What's going to happen? Like, how are we going to kind of figure this out? I mean, yeah. I think Canada's going to hold interest rates again in October, and then we're going to go to Gunter. 35% of U.S. GDP is government spending. Yeah, that's your military-industrial complex right there. And Gary Madej, Andrew Clark, and in the House, TJH, welcome to Canada, sold to China. Justin Trudeau, diversity is our strength. And mass inflation is our gift. Yeah, so you saw the article I read earlier today at the shop, how they passed a law so rents could go up 2.6% per year, but they're adjusting rent hikes to inflation. They're not adjusting rent hikes to increase in pay. What a bunch of tardos. You got to be out of your tree to think like that. Totally out of your tree. Woo! All right. Oh, guys, I got my girl Florida here, by the way. There she is on the couch. Florida! That's my American Eskimo. Florida! Yeah, she's watching the show with us tonight. My American Eskimo. I had her for years. Go to my channel and look her up. Australia holds rates, so let's see what they have to say here, these people.
Central bank, and in fact they are talking about that now, saying that it's reasonable to expect an extended period of low rates. Is this the right thing for the RBA to be doing at this particular moment in time?
Well, I think the departure there from the normal policy of the RBA is the last couple of meetings have been very open about their forward guidance and that sort of lower for longer narrative, and they're just extending that this time. I think the question...
Look at that. That guy's in Sydney. Look at all the cranes behind him. Look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That guy's got 9 cranes around him.
It really comes about the growth forecast the RBA have compared to where the economy is actually at the moment, and whether the second quarter will really mark the low in the growth outlook, and we'll see those effects of those first 2 rate cuts actually start to manifest themselves in the second half of the year, and that would give some credence to the RBA's idea of being on hold. Certainly the tax rebates that are coming from the government will take themselves time to feed through into household consumption. There are signs that the housing market is actually starting to stabilise, if not lift a little bit now, but the weakness really still is there in terms of business confidence being quite subdued. And the growth outlook being quite one-sided right now, being delivered by trade and government spending and not really by the consumer. So there's a lot to wait and see in terms of how that's going to manifest itself over the coming 3 months and into the end of the year. But I do believe that statement from the RBA will be more dovish, and they will be reinforcing that idea that if there is further weakness, they will definitely be acting. Yeah. But we don't actually see them doing anything until next year.
Okay, so they won't be doing nothing till next year. So here it is, guys. Let's move on. Okay, New Zealand. Now let's go over to New Zealand. We got a slight problem in New Zealand because do you remember that whole Kiwi Build housing project that New Zealand was going to do? New Zealand has been really putting their foot down when it comes to trying to get the housing market to correct without crashing their economy. New Zealand said no to foreign ownership. So ever since they said no to foreign ownership, everything's been going down. Housing prices have been sloping downwards. Everything's been going down because the New Zealand Kiwi proper can't afford to buy in their own markets, so they're completely bought out. So is Australia and so is Canada. I mean, I'm not picking on New Zealand, but so they had this Kiwi Build project from Phil Tyford. Was his the Prime Minister Jacinta Ardern basically had her platform was housing and affordable housing for her presidency, if you want, presidency or prime minister-ish, whatever you call it, in New Zealand. And she basically promised a Kiwi build 100,000 affordable homes. Now, hold on, we got somebody here from New Zealand says housing in New Zealand is 5% deposit for first home buyer, new builds income caps, $85K for single buyer and $130K for couples. One bedroom is around $559,000. So it's way above what people. It's way above most people's pay grades. So $559,000. If we pull out our total debt service ratio calculator and you put in your total debt service ratio on how much you need to make to afford $559,000 mortgage at say 3%, 4%, you'd be baffled on how much you need to make to just a one bedroom, right? And remember, a one bedroom in Vancouver is $2,200 a month to rent. So if they get a 2% increase, they're looking at a $56 increase per month, right? So Time to Reflect says it's all about immigration, Mike. And Tom is saying housing in Sydney isn't going to fall, but stagnate until wages catch up, so purchasing power increases. But wages need to catch up very soon because there's not enough turnover right now in Sydney and Melbourne. Sales have went up, but the amount of inventory in the market, with the amount of inventory, it will take 100 years to rotate all its inventory that they have in the Sydney market. So at the rate they're selling at. So there's not enough movement. There's not enough money changing hands because you can't get the first-time home buyers in the markets. New Zealand scraps target for 100,000 affordable homes to handle crisis. Wellington, New Zealand, facing a shortage of affordable housing, scrapped its target to build 100,000 homes in 10 years. Overly ambitious on Wednesday, the rest some policies of grappling with what it calls a crisis. Housing Minister Megan Woods unveiled pressures that include New Zealand $400 million to $256 million funding for ownership schemes like rent to buy and shared equity, which allow families to buy chunks of a mortgage until they own a home outright. You see, if people stop owning homes outright, we're going to have a huge senior citizen crisis with a lot of people with mortgages that are senior citizens, and it's going to be really hard to kind of give them enough of a pension just to cover their rent or their mortgage, right? So things need to be fixed very soon. In June, Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern replaced her housing minister and appointed, Phil Tyford. Remember Phil? He had to go. Appointed a team of senior officials to fix New Zealand's housing problems. After Kiwi Build, the government's flagship project adding 100,000 homes, missed several deadlines. As of September 4th, the number of homes built was 258. Wow, that's it? Of 100,000? To Kiwi Build's website. What? Why? Really? That's all they did? So January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September. So in 9 months, they built 258? That's like one skyrise. One high-rise, skyrise. Okay. Very interesting. As of September 4th, the number of homes built was 258 Kiwi Build's website. Okay. Woods did not set any target for Kiwi Build, saying the government would focus on building as many homes as it can. But there's too many empty homes sitting vacant in New Zealand. I get people messaging me all the time. Mike, I'm in Christchurch. A good percentage of homes are just empty. Some of them have Christmas decorations on there for 3 years. Some of them, their fences are falling over. Finia Deharlet, sorry, I can't pronounce that. They're also building Kiwi Build houses in weird places that no one wants to buy because it's in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, okay, there you go. Afinia, if you want to add me on Skype and come on the show, it is Mike Martins, MikeMartins, 1980. Go ahead and add me on Skype if you like, and you could send me a one-liner message here so I know you're trying to get a hold of me. And I would love to have you on the show to give us a little rundown. I know what's going on. I know people being put up in houses, the meth testing, the black mold. I know what's happening. New Zealand's gone through an absolute disaster in the last 4 years, especially with the foreign ownership, people buying up. Like one person would go in there and buy 22 homes and leave them all empty. And that's what's happening in New Zealand right now, folks. Okay, let's go here. Where are we? New Zealand scraps. All right. We are changing it. New Zealand backflips on 100,000 affordable home pledge. Wellington, New Zealand, the government has performed spectacular mea culpa means my fault, On mea culpa is, it means, it's in Portuguese, it means my fault. On one of the Labour's signature election policies, walking away from the pledge to build 100,000 affordable new homes within a decade. You see, this would have been a good plan, because if they do it now, if they do this now, then in 10 more years, when housing gets more, or materials get more expensive, they would be happy, and they wouldn't be so behind that they built these houses, right? So, you get me. So if they do this now and they actually stuck to this and stuck to their plan and got it done, instead of building 200 homes, I think they would have been better off building this now, and then 10 years down the road, they could say, thank God we built that 100,000 extra homes, right? The Prime Minister, Jacinda, says government insists their commitment to low-cost housing remains announcing. Okay, guys, you guys know how I feel about low-cost housing, right? I believe in better paying jobs and better opportunity so you could buy whatever house you like. That's what I like. Oh, Mike, that's a dream world. No, it's not, because that's how it was in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. Okay, so don't start telling me how things are, or people can't afford cars now. Yeah, no, people should have 3 cars and 2 televisions, okay? All right, Layla says, lovely news from Sweden. Cannibalism proposed to fight climate changes? What? KBH 011 says, hi, Mike. Hi. Time to reflect, just who are building all of these homes for? Time to reflect says to stay empty, right? And then TJH says, houses are natural, houses the natural born citizens can't afford to buy with their wages. Stagnant minimum wage for the most part. Yeah. And Nathan Mao in the house, LOL. So stagnant wages basically is like, the problem is people have been massaged into believing that a minimum wage job is a career job. In high school, when I was in high school and we weren't paying attention in class, the teacher would yell at us and say, hello, do you want to be flipping burgers for the rest of your life? And I'd be like, no. Well, pay attention so you're not flipping burgers all your life. Now people are flipping burgers and it's their career. And people are massaged into believing they should be making more money for flipping burgers. So Donald G says to vote Turdo out. So, yeah. So that's what they wanted to do. Kiwi built. They wanted to build more homes in New Zealand. But it didn't work. They fell short. They built, of 100,000 houses, they built 200. I think it was 283. That's a huge fail. Huge fail. Very disappointed in New Zealand. Very disappointed in New Zealand. All right, let's move on. No deal Brexit could hit house prices. Okay. Why don't they just say, why don't they just say, look, London's unaffordable. We had a mass exodus of millennials and youth leaving to Middle England. We also sold out a majority of our landmarks and stuff to China, and no one could afford to live in London anymore. Why don't they just tell the truth? Instead of saying, oh, you see, UK houses could drop another 6.2% next year. So look, they're already dropping. London is the blueprint of housing declines for the world. Australia is the blueprint for indebtedness for the world. A blueprint to show how they're bringing in their the technology into Darwin with their 5G social credit scores in Darwin. So Australia is the beginning of all that. The UK is the blueprint for housing disaster because they're going into 4, 8, 12, 16. So 4, 8, 12, they're going into their 12th quarter, not 12th month, 12th quarter of quarter-to-quarter declines. And it's been a trend. UK house prices could drop 6.2% next year if UK leaves the EU without a deal on October 31st, according to accountants KPMG. Now, why don't they just be honest? Just say, look, it's overpriced. Nobody makes enough to live. So Ophelia Deck-Hullard says minimum wage is expected to rise to $20 per hour. Okay. Nathan Mao says we are too soft to people. We need to be able to yell and get serious at students in the class in the classroom. Welcome to the real world, students. Students are learning how to open a business. They're not learning how to do their taxes. They're not learning how to manage their credits. They're not learning about, students should get credit counseling, even though they have no credit, or most of them don't have credit in high school. They should be learning about credit counseling, understanding forms of debt, understanding depression when in debt. Okay? Let me just wet my beak here. No deal Brexit could hit, so just be honest about it. At least they have something to cover, right? At least they have something to cover it up, blaming Brexit on the housing crash. Where Australia, I think they're going to use Brexit. I already heard that, if Brexit happens, it might hit Australia. So Australia is looking for an escape route, right? Because they're trying to find something. They're trying to get things rolling in Australia, but their iron ore just isn't. Their iron ore exports that Australia is so heavily dependent on really isn't iron oring so much lately. Why? Because the Chinese aren't building those ghost cities anymore. They finally realized, wow, we got so many empty buildings and half our population's homeless or living in sheds and stuff. What do we do, right? So I don't think China is just creating bubbles in every asset level humanly possible. Owen says, hold on, we got Donald G sending the Trans Mountain appeals again. Let's kill our economy. Woo! And then we got Owen says, it's funny how people are so numb, he didn't say dumb, numb to what's going on around them. Yep. So this is it, guys. This is it. Annual house price rate change from the UK, all dwellings. So this is all dwellings in the United Kingdom. So it's been on a decline for, like I said, there's your 2015 pickup. That's when a lot of people came from Hong Kong, right there, around that line right there. And then you got 4, 8, and 12 and a half quarters of decline right here. Look at 2009. Woo! Assuming no agreement is reached, KPMG says Northern Ireland would be the hardest hit next year with the average price declines of 7.5%. Followed by London at the 7%. The least hit will be Wales and East Midlands and 5.4% apiece. So Northern Ireland has a lot of foreign investing in Northern Ireland. Lots of... they've never seen this before. It was a phenomenon going through Ireland, through Dublin first. It went through Dublin a year and a half ago when they started seeing bidding wars. And then the average Irishman sitting there like, why am I bidding on a house? I want to look at the house. I want to send in an inspector and I'll give him an offer. Oh no, this could be worth $100,000 more than what it's listed for. Donald G is saying, what's going on with Canada? I covered all of Canada at the beginning of the show. So we are moving along here. Again, you could go back to the beginning of the show, Donald. You could scroll back, if you'd like, to the beginning, and I cover all of what's happening in Canada and the rate halts and all that stuff. Brexit jitters grind UK housing market and halt in August again. Oh, you know what the benchmark price? Average price dips to £216,000 as says nationwide as buyer activity stalls. Nobody has money! Nobody has money! Brexit uncertainty is still weighing heavily on UK housing market, which ground to a halt in August, and it could take... They don't have 2 pence to rub together. Again, US housing market at its weakest point in decades, says Civilis. I wonder if this one blames Trump or Brexit. The UK housing market is at its weakest point since the global financial crisis a decade ago, as Brexit uncertainty puts off buyers, according to leading estate. First-time home buyers don't have money. First-time home buyers don't have money. All right. Now let's get to Ireland. Now, I've covered this many times. Guys, go on my channel. When you're bored, look, go to my channel. Go to the magnifying glass. Type in Ireland. People are asking me about, look, 7 months ago, Northern Ireland housing market is hot. That's when they had the massive bidding wars. Look at this. 5.8% increase. Wow. Just, look, Ireland housing disaster. Some of this is in my, okay, here we go. Ireland massive housing crisis. Foreign investors going to Ireland, UK housing crash. So here we go. 9,846 homeless people in Ireland. Okay. Now, where did that thing go? Where did that go? More Brexit crap. It's above $10,000 for 6 months in a row. Now, the population of Ireland, looking at how many are homeless, that's gotta hurt. That's gotta hurt. There are more than 10,000 people homeless in Ireland for the 6th month in a row, according to the latest figures from the Department of Housing. Charities have expressed disappointment after July figures increased for the first time in recent months, with a total of 10,275 people in emergency accommodation in Ireland, 6,497 adults, and watch this, 3,778 children. That's the one that kills me right there. Oh, yeah. TJH is saying so many children homeless. Sad to see indeed. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thousands of children sleeping rough there. That's for sure. And this is huge, guys. This is very upsetting to see, you know. And we got to move to Miami. This is pretty tough, guys. This is a tough one to swallow. This was from the Miami New Times. First time Miami teachers spend 72% of income on rent. Yeah. As Florida struggles to fill thousands of empty teaching positions, developers in Miami area continue to extract expensive and largely vacant condo towers. This witch's brew of scant affordable housing and abysmal pay for teachers has made Miami one of the worst metropolitan areas in the nation for entry-level school teacher. That's according to new analysis of housing affordability in the 50 largest metropolitan areas by online real estate database Zillow. According to the report, the first-time teacher Miami must use a whopping 72% of his or her starting salary to cover rent, which averages $1,938 a month. But most affordable housing measures, people who spend 30% or more on their income or housing are considered rent burden. So that's what's happening there right now. They don't make enough money there. That's a problem. Florida doesn't pay. Florida state, when I lived there for 5 years, it's hard to find a good paying job. I saw a lot of people struggle. You know what I'm saying? Onan Irani saying so many homeless people in the U.S. Depression right around the corner, says DPOD. Food prices rising. Canned food has been one of my biggest investments in the past 12 months. Yeah. But don't go parading that around to everybody, because you don't want to be a target telling everyone how much food you have in reserves, because it's not a good thing to do. Well, I mean, it's you know, nobody knows who it is on YouTube, but I'm saying, like, don't tell people at work and stuff. Like, avoid telling people, right? So that's what's happening there. Housing market balances out. Seattle rent continues skyward. So we know what happened with Seattle once they put on the. I read the article to you guys how Vancouver, Seattle's the new Vancouver for foreign buyers. After the capital outflow started to fizzle out from China, and the new social credit score is pretty much in rolling out there so they could track every dime that leaves that coast of China, the Chinese coasts. What's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of these cities starting to drop, because Seattle was doing good. It was very thriving, and then boom, they got hit with with the foreign investing after Vancouver, the city of Vancouver, implemented the foreign buyers tax. And that dissuaded foreign investors to Seattle and east to Toronto. So that's where the bubbles kind of took off from there. And then because foreign investing has been happening from the whole west coast of America down to San Diego, right to Seattle now, the completely west coast is completely bought out. This caused a mass migration of American proper, or Americans that can't afford in their own city, moving east to Arizona, Utah, excuse me, Nevada. All these other states started seeing a massive influx. Texas is seeing a massive influx of Californians, right? And then you have rent evictions where landlords are kicking people out and getting more people to pay more money. And the housing crisis is affecting every single human being. If you're homeless, it's because of housing. If you're couch surfing, it's because of housing. If you are renting, it's because of housing. And if you own and you can't sell, it's because of housing. And if you own and you're settled, it's because of housing. Every human being is going to be affected by this in English-speaking countries. Stocks came out. Stocks were up today. All my silver was up today again. 2-day gains in silver. UK is going to deal with their immigration issue. The big European bankers are not going to control the UK, and its immigration housing will be hopefully less than demand in the UK. Someone's asking any top gold picks. Join me on Morning Market Talk. Can't read Market Talk. Every mornings. I'm on every morning live, and if you go back to the channel, guys, I got a few picks here on my channel here. You kind of want to see this one here. It's actually not bad. So here's Morning Market Talk. There's this one here. It's broken up because I kept losing my transmission. Right here. Can't read Market Talk. Watch these episodes, guys. We talk about several stocks to look at. We're not an investment channel because we can't read. You know, I can't even read, so there's no, you know what I'm saying? So, Mr. E says, I just had breakfast with them. Indonesians just had a millionaire summit here. Looks like that will be a new capital influx. Okay, so Mr. E just had breakfast with them. Indonesians saying there's going to be a lot more money pouring into Hong Kong. We have our channel friend over in Hong Kong that reports what's happening in Hong Kong with the riots. So join us for Mike of the Night for that. Anyways, so, all right, let's move on here. Someone's asking me, you can't read? Why not? How do you read chat? Well, I could read, but at a grade 6 level. So, gold stocks, look at those 3 that were left in the comments for you. Do some homework on that, and I'll get back to you tomorrow on some gold stocks. All right. Market balances come out, Seattle. Okay. Bidding wars for Seattle homes drop sharply in just a year. I wonder why. It's capital outflows were introduced in China just a year. So bidding wars are gone. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Bidding wars for homes on the market in Seattle area have plummeted in the past year, reflecting on a national trend, according to a new report released Wednesday. So there you go. Tracking Hurricane Dorian. All right, let's keep going here. Yeah. Okay, so there's no more Los Angeles, California, LA County. No longer is a housing crisis. It's a homeless crisis. Because of the American proper that cannot... American proper, when I'm saying American proper, I'm talking about people with degrees that are homeless, and I'm talking about with people, and I'm talking about people that have college degrees, and people that work full-time jobs that are homeless. It's no longer housing; it's a homeless. Yeah, and investigators say so. Someone, a man arrested on suspicion of setting. See, West LA sidewalk. People dying in the streets, just dying. Didn't die of an overdose. He just died because was his time, or middle-aged man was face down, flattened on a flattened piece of cardboard, arms to the side, and a small pool of blood near his mouth. He wore blue jeans, his feet were bare, and his headset buds were still in his ears. Oh, that's so sad. 2 LAPD officers who responded to the emergency call from a passerby had pitched a white pop-up tent around the body, which lay on the sidewalk of Massachusetts Avenue between Spuddaville Boulevard and the 405 freeway in West Los Angeles. Oh, man, that's gotta hurt, man. These people have families, and that's why I'm saying, guys, I'm asking you guys to really reunify with family, really reunify with people in your life. It's not good to hold these grudges with family, guys. Like, move on. Oh, he said this. Who cares? Family is family, guys, and stop. Being independent nowadays is not the way to go, okay? It's nice to be independent and be on your own, but guys, you know what? You don't want to be, now in the troubling times we're going through, you want to be close to family, you want to be close to friends. Yeah, Silver Wheaton. Yeah, we got people in the, Silver Wheaton is a good one too. Call him, homeless people are dying on LA streets in record numbers, yet we ignore the epidemic. Yeah. So California's beyond 110,000 homeless in California. It's just beyond homeless housing crisis now. The American proper, especially with like 1 out of 5 people have a college degree that are homeless. So, yeah, so that's what's going on here. All right, let's see if we get somebody to call into the show. Let's see who I have here for the housing discussion here on what's going on. This is kind of important, guys. Oh, let's see if Supreme's alive. We'll give him a call. We tried to get him on the show last week, but I think he got arrested. Hello? 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 You can't hear Supreme. I hope he didn't get arrested. Do cities in Canada have the authority to set municipal laws only to sell housing to its citizens? No, because then that's considered racist, right? Try going to another country and buy housing in another country. They'll tell you where to go. When I try to buy a house in Mexico twice in 2 different states, and I have a lawyer in Mexico, you can't buy in Mexico. You're a foreigner. Oh, what about all the expats? Yeah, they're on a lease, 100-year lease. They never own their house. Tell them to read their fine print. The guy was telling me, he's like, you're lucky you have a lawyer in Mexico because you wouldn't know what the hell you're signing. I mean, I do read Spanish, but yeah, Southern Ireland controlled by the EU bankers. Put in Southern Ireland controlled by EU big banksters. Let's check her out. Oh, Christ. EU bank unification will allow more banks to enter Irish market. Why? So they can impoverish and mail out credit cards to everybody and indebt them for life? Jesus Christ. Unification of Europe's banking system would create an opportunity for more foreign banks to enter the Irish market and allow for reduction in interest rates, Central Bank of Ireland Governor Philip Lane said. You got to be kidding me, man. Responding to remarks from the European Central Bank President Mario Draghi on Thursday, said, Mr. Lane, the concentration of business lending in a small number of banks meant pricing pressure is going to be less. Legacy debt issues coupled with the Republic's high volume for non-performing loans also raise questions for banks looking to enter the Irish market. There's no money in Ireland. Why are they going to do there? What are they going to do there and ruin everybody's lives? So it looks like, you know why? See, Germany's bank is faltering. So what Germany, Deutsche Bank, and all those big banks, what they need to do is they need to start encompassing more banks and getting into more markets and spread the disease to the rest of Europe. So then this way, they're not It's not on their shoulders. It's all of Europe's. Germany's problems will be all of Europe's problems. And that's what Germany's hoping, to get more into these countries, right? Mr. E has a joke in the comment sections. Hotels are cheap here. Come to Hong Kong. It's a riot. Yeah, they are. We looked them up the other day. They're very cheap. They're dirt cheap, actually. Some of them are $7 a night. And it is, yeah. Let's see if the Raven isn't in jail. Wow, that's loud. Hello?
How's it going, Mike?
How are you, my brother?
How's it going? Good. How you doing?
Okay, hold on. I just got to fix this here. I don't know why. All right. You could hear me fine, right?
Yeah, I hear you clear. Yeah.
Are you driving?
No. I was just reading about cutting rates on September 18th.
Oh, okay. Well, I got some good news. Well,
What's
you know
that?
what happened. We did not lower rates, and there's a lot happening, actually, in the housing market this last week across the board. Canada's GDP gets a boost by deepening reliance on real estate. Why aren't we developing and exporting and fabricating things anymore? What the hell?
You got me. You got me there.
That's
We're an oasis. Canada's an oasis in the global economy right now.
I think it's an
Well,
economic wasteland here.
Oh, we're you know what? We're stronger than a lot. Well, the GDP numbers that came out showed us we're a lot stronger than other countries, but it's going to catch up to us. Is Paul's going to get behind it ahead of time, or is he going to wait too long? I think they're going 50 points in the U.S. in 2 weeks, or in less than 2 weeks.
You think so, eh?
Probably 50. Yeah.
Okay. Toronto and Vancouver homeowners see HELOC payments jump up. So what? They're servicing more debt. Why? They're taking out more money on their second, third, whatever mortgages, reverse mortgages, or whatever the hell they're holding. What the heck? Our GDP is built basically off the consuming of off these HELOCs, dude.
You know, when the U.S. lowers their rates, our mortgage goes down too. Our rates go down too. Just a small fraction. So if they lower 50 basis points, we might go down 10 basis points, right? Mm-hmm. We might go down 0.1% because our banks invest in their bond market, and it affects their market, right? So it reverberates to Canada. That's not publicized a lot. You don't see that. I only read that once in a story, and you don't see that very often about that.
Yeah. That's something that Vancouver real estate developers drop new inventory by over 90%. So developers and builders are walking away from Vancouver. Why is that? It's the world's best place to live.
It's never going up there again. It's never going to reach where it was. I think those days are done. Slow decline.
The golden years, eh?
Yeah, I think it's done. Winnipeg's still gonna, I think, with what they're gonna do, it's gonna boost the houses. It's got to. The lower rates got to create another wealth effect. Raise that. Like, where are we gonna end up though?
New Brunswick.
Yeah, you don't even want to go that way. Stay away. Don't even go over there. Pretty much cut that part of the country off.
Okay, you ready for this? First time Miami teachers spent 72% of income on rent.
Yeah, it's a little high.
Yeah, but I looked it up. They don't make much. That's why. The average house there, you can still pick something up in Miami for under $200,000, right? So I think they're better off buying in those markets, right?
Hey, we just sold a condo in Winnipeg for $23,000.
Is that good, or?
You can Google it. Winnipeg condo, 23,000. That's pretty cheap. It's pretty cheap. It's not a great condo. It was downtown. I think there was some damage to it, but the guy got it.
Winnipeg condo. How much?
23,000.
28 or 26? You said. Sorry.
23.
23.
Yeah.
All right, I got it. It's not. Let me go on the news. No, it's not up. It's not.
Well, I've seen it in two different news feeds here on
Winnipeg
Google.
condo sells for $23K. No.
Just put 23.
Here we go. It's on Yahoo.
Yeah.
Winnipeg Free Press, a $23,000 condo. Yay, Winnipeg got that. Owner believes Central Park block a diamond in the rough. So what did he buy?
I wouldn't go down there at night. Let's put it that way.
Really? At night?
No. Not a wise thing. No.
Okay.
For the preservation of life, I would rather stay other places than down there.
Ona Irani is asking is how is Winnipeg? Is it safe? Is it a safe city, Raven?
You know what? It's a safe city as long as you don't go looking for it. You know, you go into there's bad areas. I'll walk in any area. I don't care. That's me. But you know, there's a lot of people like you stay away from the bad areas. You know where they are. There's a few of them.
Okay, so you don't want to go looking for that. Okay.
It's like any city's got its bad spots. You know, just stay away from them. Chances are you could walk through there and nothing will happen. But you know, the percentages it increases the chances of harm to you increases in those areas. So, you know.
Hold on. I'm looking at this condo block here. Why are there bars on the windows? Like, how are people going to go out, escape if there's a fire?
It's not you wanting to get out. It's who you don't want to get in that area.
So it's almost like you being the prisoner in your own house where basically you have to bar yourself in your house to protect yourself and the people out.
I couldn't live down there. I just couldn't do it. If I did, I wouldn't keep anything in my apartment. You'd have to fortify your door, and you wouldn't want to leave anything in there. Yeah.
Wow. So, if I go to Winnipeg, you got to take me down here. We'll take 2 grenades with us.
Oh, we could drive around. Like in a vehicle, you're okay. But you're in a vehicle, you're all right.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's the bad areas in a vibrant economy. You know, what happens when there's a downturn, when a big downturn,
so
that's going to spread.
Large might be worth 10 large.
Well, the crime rates in the cities, in the neighborhoods with the nice houses and all that are very low, and in the slums, the areas that have all the liquor stores and the pawn shops, you know, they gravitate to those areas. That you could look at it like it's the bond market, right? When the downturn comes, think of the negativity of those areas as negative interest rates, and it's going to spread right across the field. It's going to come.
A virus.
Just like negative rates, which will be 20 trillion negative by next year. That's a prediction right there. That's coming for sure.
Oh, God. Yeah.
You know what?
I know.
Hey, there's a story on Zero Hedge about DARPA coming after all the critical thinking websites and all that, and they're putting computer programs in, and they're going to search millions of sites. Millions.
But what are we? I mean, we're not talking about anything that's going to damage anybody.
If you're talking negative against what the government's doing or anything like that, it'll flag. It's a very interesting story. There's 2 of them on there, actually. 2 stories about the same thing.
Okay, but can I say something? Why is the government getting into banking when it's not their sector? Well, they should be governing the country, not our banking system.
The banks run the government.
Right, I understand that, but
the Federal Reserve and any other country is a Rothschild bank. Here, it's not called that. It's called the Federal Reserve. That's a Rothschild bank. That's all it is.
Okay.
They're running the whole show.
Speaking of Rothschild banks, I want to bring this up. EU bank unification would allow more bankers to enter Irish market. That's pretty bad. Ireland's already in a really rough state right now, and it's not good, to bring in more banking into Ireland does not need more banking. No. What do they need more banking for? You know why? Because Germany wants to spread its burdens into the rest of Europe, so the rest of Europe could pay. Do you know why? Do you know one of the major reasons why Iceland basically wanted out of the banking system and out of the whole thing? You know why Iceland did it and arrested all their bankers? One of the main reasons why is because the UK or London or England was trying to pass its debt on to Iceland for Iceland to pay England's debt.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't believe that when I read that. I thought it was a lie, so I looked at several other articles, and they're all confirming that basically the people in Iceland were fed up, and basically they said, we're not paying England's debt. And then not even a week after, Iceland pretty much gains independence from the financial oligarchs, it was said that British Airways was not accepting Iceland citizens to fly their planes because they're deemed as like enemies of the state.
Well, Iceland crashed there, in 2008, and then not many people noticed. Ireland crashed. People started to pay attention.
Yeah.
AIG went down.
Yeah.
People woke up, and Lehman Brothers went down, and we all woke up.
Mm-hmm.
Take a look around right now. You know, Argentina, Venezuela.
Argentina's headed for a whirl of hurt in the next couple of couple of quarters here. A world of hurt. So Argentina's gonna have to figure something out real quick in a heartbeat, if you ask me.
Throw in 12,000 retail stores. Look at the yield curve, the bonds. How many signs do we need to see now? But yet, and the killer is deflation for them, right? But I just don't even know why it's still running right now.
Wow.
And now you've got China partnering with Iran and putting 5,000 military personnel in Iran to guard the oil fields.
Of course.
Sanctions backfired. Yeah, sanctions backfired. And they got friendly with the enemy.
Yeah, but nowadays, who really is the enemy? Who writes the history? Who really puts the information out there for us to follow? What do we really know in the grand scheme of things, right?
Well, the banks are the enemy. That's how I look at it. And in a few years, we'll look back and think, why did we give those criminals our money? How fooled were we? You know, how fooled were we to give them our money? That's like one of the biggest atrocities in the planet, is to let those people do that to us. Yeah.
So yeah, I just decided to give you a call to say hi, see how you're doing, because I usually talk to you very often now. So
on holidays.
I know you're on 6 weeks holidays, man.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I'm working with my ex, helping her get her mortgages for her new 2-built duplexes. They're full houses. I was in all three. They're huge. They sell for $550 in Winnipeg. They're in a decent area, nice area, and she's got 2 of them side by side. And she's looking at a loan for $860,000 for the 2 of them. And I'm helping her out with some of that stuff. And she's going to a credit union, and she's looking at. The thing is, do we go 1 year or 2 years? 2 years, she can get 2.99 for 2 years, but man, is that far in the future with what's going on. And if you break a mortgage, what's the penalty on 860 owing,
860 would probably be like 19,000, 22,000 bucks.
I told her 17 grand. It's probably 17 grand.
No, it's about 22,000.
Yeah, I've paid penalties, and I don't like it. The only way around it is you get another mortgage and you buy another, or if you break it very close to its expiration date. But, the small lenders wouldn't talk to her. They said, you built the properties yourself. You didn't have a builder's warranty in Winnipeg. We're not touching your mortgage. Only the credit union, because they're lenient credit unions. Kind of figured, I didn't know with building houses, like if it's a builder, because it's more of a rare case when a real estate agent builds their own and hires the people. There's a warranty. She has no warranty.
Well, that a lot of these credit unions are not federally regulated. They're just provincially regulated, right?
Yeah.
So.
And but they're giving her a lower rate too. She can go 1 year at 3.49. That's kind of getting up there. Or 2 years at 2.99. But I think like Canada's looking at cuts this year, at least one. The U.S. is looking up at least two, maybe three. Who knows?
Yeah,
the
United States of America is their job numbers are a farce. Their payroll numbers don't match their job numbers. So all these jobs, well, why aren't these people getting paid? Which makes you think that the payroll doesn't match. And then you look at the credit bureau through Equifax and all the other big established credit bureau establishments, and you're realizing that more and more Americans are credit seeking and applying for more credit and more credit cards. So that's becoming a backlash to Americans right now.
Yeah, and I remember Steve the plumber there said he wasn't 100% sure, but he heard through the grapevine that rates would be going down next week, which would have been, I think, this week.
It was today, but they didn't go down.
Yeah.
They held them.
Yeah.
So they held rates today, this morning.
It was a hard one to call, but
I thought they were going to lower them, and then Buddy was going to resign.
No, he's not resigning. He's moving on to better and bigger things. Just like Christine Lagarde. Go blow up Europe now.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Critical thinkers, eh?
It's they call us conspiracy theorists. I'm changing that name. That's a CIA created name because of Kennedy.
Yes. That was spun on November 22nd, 1963. During this Kennedy assassination, anyone that came forward with what they saw were labeled a conspiracy theorist because they didn't go with the status quo.
What a great name for them to discredit people. It's almost insulting, eh? I call it now truth hunters. Yeah. I'm a truth hunter. I don't take that conspiracy crap. I'm a truth hunter. I hunt the truth. I peel back the layers of the onion. And I'll tell you, I've realized so many things. But yeah.
Have you ever realized anything watching my show?
Probably lots. I'd have to think about that.
I'm just kidding.
There's lots of good content there, and lots. It's a stimulating show for me anyway. Where else can I see that?
That's true.
You can go and watch. You can watch YouTube videos. But where can you go and be on a chat room, and put comments and have a discussion with like-minded critical thinkers? Eh? I said to my ex there today. I said, 1 in 500 or 1 in 1,000 is a critical thinker. I only know a couple. I know a lot of people. I only know a couple critical thinkers. But I can come in your room and talk. And there's how many people in your room right now?
I don't know, like 70 people.
Yeah, I'd say probably 50 or 60 of them are critical thinkers, right? They meditate to that same. It's what stimulates their brain. Hockey, or football. Football. How's that going to stimulate? I don't see the purpose in that. I don't see the point. Who cares who won the Grey Cup 7 years ago? I don't.
Woo!
Really,
So
who cares if Saskatchewan can't count to 13?
Sidge Brad P takes LMMGD says, I don't think I feel. And then TJH in the comments says, quote the Raven, nevermore.
Quote the Raven.
Quote the Raven, nevermore. Raven is on point tonight. Yeah, he's usually on point when he's not drunk. And
no, I don't drink.
I know you don't. I'm just breaking you. Oh my God, Mr. E sent me 10 Hong Kong dollars. Where else can you see Mighty Mike Martin's? That should be enough for me to get a place in Hong Kong for the night. Because did you see the hotels in Hong Kong going for $7 Canadian a night?
Well, they scrapped the extradition bill, eh?
Yes, early this morning, yeah.
Is that going to stop them? There's 4 more points they want scrapped,
Oh.
Is that going to stop them?
I don't know. They're going to probably wait till Christmas when everyone's home with their families, and they're just going to pass it.
Experts say that it will not stop the protests. That's what it said in an article. Experts say that. I don't know who they are, but
Mr. E says nope, it won't. Yeah. Mr. E is in Hong Kong right now.
You saw silver hit 1974.
Oh God, that was such a good year, buddy.
Yeah. and then it consolidated a little. It's down right now a little bit, but that's okay. Don't worry, that's okay. I said 20 bucks by Tuesday, eh?
Hold on, we're getting Evan on the call here with you, okay?
Okay.
Evan, are you there? I hope he's not. I hope he's not in a mob again. He was dodging tear gas the other day.
Oh, hello.
Evan, how you doing?
I'm all right. I can see the top of your head, Mike. Am I supposed to see the top of your head?
It looks good, eh?
Oh, are you renting some space out? I didn't think Canadian real estate was that bad.
So, yeah, Raven, we got Evan on the show. And, Raven, if you have any questions about what's happening in Hong Kong, go ahead and ask this guy. He's there right now.
Yeah, well, I was just reading tonight that Carrie Lam scrapped the extradition bill there, and I was wondering if that was going to stop the protests. But what do you see on the ground there? Is it all peaceful there?
I can tell you right now they haven't scrapped anything. All she's done, even though Western media, a lot of jackhammers in here. Hold on, I'll walk a bit further over here. Less jackhammers. They're renovating your favorite restaurant, Mike, Ruby Tuesdays.
Okay.
Just so you know. Yeah. But anyway, our extradition bill not scrapped, despite what they're saying. It's like with that Zero Hedge article where they said the protests were cancelled, you know. There is a certain news cycle they're trying to push, and it never eventuates. She is claiming that she might scrap the extradition bill, but that simply wouldn't be enough now, given all the police brutality and
I see
secret arrests.
Zero Hedge has a pretty accurate feed, like coming out there.
Except that time. Except that time, because Mike saw it. Remember, on the last Mike in the night, I proved Zero Hedge wrong with a click of a button I did. Because if you remember, Mike, we were looking at the train station. That was after Zero Hedge said the protests were cancelled.
Right, exactly. So it contradicts what they said.
Immediately, and the protests have been going all night. I even sent you some video I took, Mike, of the laser shows and the chanting. It's probably in your Skype somewhere.
Yes, it is.
Why are the Asian markets knocking the silver price down as we speak then? If it's not positive news there.
Well, you don't necessarily need positive news to move silver up or down, do you, Mr. Ray?
I don't know. I think silver goes up on bad news and goes down on good news.
It does vary. You'd have to look at, like, even the Argentinian situation would be affecting silver and gold quite a lot. As you had Anthony on earlier, what are all these people who are desperate to park their money somewhere doing? They're parking it all in silver mines and silver. So it could be on that basis too.
Hong Kong is a big player when it comes to the financial market.
One of the big three.
Argentina, I don't really place too much concern on Argentina, too much. But you could say Venezuela.
Hong Kong is buying Argentinian stock. That's what I mean. There's a lot of capital outflow in Hong Kong at the moment as people prepare to flee. So they're all hedging their bets. So you will see.
Beijing, China could be putting some good news out there with a big contract they're doing with Iran. That's a big One Belt, One Road initiative move right there. They're doing investing hundreds of billions of dollars in Iran and putting 5,000 military in Iran. You know, that's giving the U.S. the finger and saying, screw you, you're in your sanctions. We're going to work with these guys. And now the U.S. is left.
They still have the BRIC Union, don't they, with Russia and India and all of that coming up, that petrodollar ditching. But every country that tries to ditch that petrodollar, what happens to them?
They need freedom.
They need a lot of freedom. Explosive freedom they need. Kaboom, it goes.
Yeah, and Asia's ignoring Trump's tweets now.
Well, I doubt that they're ignoring them, but as we know, the players, the PR departments of every country, they don't have a lot of say in what actually goes on with the country. They're just there as the face of the company, aren't they? Like Carrie Lam. She'll be the fall guy. That's what she was set up for. When she was elected, and this is interesting if you know anything about Chinese superstition, but they do have elections, aka selections, because you have the local representatives voting for the chief executive. Citizenry can't vote. They vote for the local representatives. But you know how many votes she got in for?
How many?
888 votes. What are the odds, eh? That's a very lucky number, isn't it?
It's just like the Fed. The president can't pick his own Fed, but he can pick from the selection,
That's right. It's always a selection. It's never an election, anyway.
Yeah. I read about the way that they do their elections, Carrie Lam, and it was just a Beijing. It's all, and that representatives are all pro Beijing. So
it's a Beijing appointee for chief executive, and then you have your local representatives voting for legislative council members, which are basically the corporate heads of the country, and then they basically choose one of the flavors of ice cream, but it doesn't matter which one you chose, you're still eating ice cream.
They have a lot of the councillors spread all out through Hong Kong, where they could have realized the sentiment on what was going on, but they dropped the ball. They put that extradition bill up. They didn't realize that the feedback would have been so negative. They dropped the ball on the sentiment of Hong Kong.
That's the surprising thing, isn't it? That they misstepped. But they have to go forward, because I don't know if you know, prior to that, and I believe I mentioned this to Mike a while ago, where Carrie Lam is going to make artificial islands to fit another 1 million Chinese people. Because they've been shipping Chinese people here 100 a day for the last 4 years. So just do some calculations on that. That number is rapidly growing, and that's just the average. They're filling up these new housing blocks that they can build in a matter of months. 2 months and you've got an entire housing estate built, plumbed, wired, and filled up with people. So they're going along with what's called the Greater Bay Initiative, which is one of those superstructures like what they want to do with Beijing, where Beijing becomes Greater Beijing. 5 cities in one. The Greater Bay would be Shenzhen, Zhuhai, I don't know if Macau would count, but Hong Kong certainly would. And this new artificial island they were going to build on the back of people suffering, like they usually do. So there is a lot of tenders going through.
They'll steal the dirt from the Philippines and Mozambique like they've been doing.
Indonesia too, Mike. They suck the sand right out of those islands.
Yeah.
Singapore and China, they love doing that.
It's creating some massive erosion in some areas too.
Oh, islands quite literally disappear. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You'll never see those islands again unless they return the sand. It's interesting though, like Namibia has all that sand in the desert. They never touch that, do they?
Well, I think it's harder for them to extract it that way. It's instead of just going to a white sandy beach and just picking up what they could off the coast, right?
Well, what they do, and I think I've explained this on your show as well, Mike, they pump water. They use a pump water into the sand so it's loosened up, and then they have a reverse pump at the same time that sucks up all the freed up sand from under the water onto the ship. And it can be done very efficiently from a long distance away, because each time the waves come crashing in, it pulls a little bit more sand back into the water, and they just pump it away till the boat is full.
Wow, that's so scary, but so true.
Well, there's no shortage of scary stuff, Mike. But with this extradition bill, this is just another case of please just stop protesting. Please give up. We want you to give up. Here's our next trick.
Yeah.
I was talking to my my people inside both sides, and there were some interesting tactics that the protesters were apparently using. I asked them about the Molotov cocktails, of course, and they said, we used them so we could get away, oh, look, a distraction, get away. They only used 76 of them. And the police used about 50 of them when they were undercover pretending to be protesters.
Yep. Wow.
And I did give them some insight as well, Mike, because I don't know if you saw the water cannon, but they're adding blue dye to the water in the water cannon. They said, oh, that's so they could mark the protesters. I said, no, that's so police could wear a blue stain on them and get into the protesters and look like they'd been sprayed. And that's what they did. Everyone, all these protester-looking people wearing a blue stain were going around arresting people when they weren't looking. Quite interesting.
I was curious about that blue stain, but why were they using the dye?
That's right.
It was to mark them, but now that makes sense. So the cops can get into the protesters. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it does. Oh, look, I was sprayed, you know.
So, guys, guys, very crucial information here being divulged here only on trends in the housing market. You see that? We don't get this information anywhere else. You could go to the world's end, and if you don't have the right contacts in the right places, you'll never know what's really happening. Continue, guys. Sorry.
Right place at the right time, Mike. That's what it is. And also, I don't know if you know the police tactics. Let's say the extradition bill is withdrawn. Police have been using rubber bullets at people's heads. They shot out 2 people's eyes. One person kept their eye. The little lady lost her eye. So there's a lot of police brutality. And one more time.
Was that the first aid girl that took a beanbag in the eye?
No, rubber bullet. There was a beanbag in the eye. There was a tear gas canister that knocked out a little boy. And then, on that train footage that Mike showed, you'd see a lot of young kids getting sprayed in the face with the high-powered pepper spray.
Because I seen that they were wearing eye patches as a symbol to that first aid girl that got her eye hit.
Oh, they've got some good marketing, that's for sure. And that's usually a bad sign when you've got marketing behind it. But if you look around Hong Kong, I've got numerous photos of it because I live here. No matter where you go these days, you'll see an underpass or an overpass just plastered with little post-it notes, and they call it a linen wall, based on the previous linen wall of ages past. And they're doing a lot of gimmicks, but the one thing they have to do is just expose the liars. When you get a video shot of police changing into protester gear, that's all you need. You don't need to go around beating them up, because all you're doing is allowing them to use their firearms, which they have. They've used live fire at one point. I don't know if you saw that footage, but it was very well filmed, as if it was designed for everyone to see. But the policeman dropped his gun, and he wasn't in full riot gear, and they were away from the group, and all of a sudden protesters were on them, beating them up. So the police fired a warning shot in the air. It looked very staged.
Is that where he was on the ground sitting there and he used that? Was it a handgun and he fired it up in the air?
That's the one.
Yeah, I saw that.
But they weren't in full riot gear when they should have been in that full riot. You see, it seemed a bit like a photo op. And there are going to be plenty of those on both sides. But the thing is, the truth, as the Raven likes hunting for, is the thing we should be looking for, right? The truth is the thing that sets people free from the lie.
There's so many lies out there, though. And,
who is the father of lies, Raven?
The devil.
The devil, that's right. Whose kingdom is it at the moment, Raven? The devil's kingdom.
The devil's kingdom. And he's hunting for souls.
Isn't that an AC/DC album?
Yeah, well, there would be. AC/DC are pretty satanic, mate. He's TNT, he's dynamite. Is that right?
Yeah.
But let's see. I could give you some predictions. People are going to get even more angry if they try and use the extradition bill. They say, all right, we've withdrawn the bill. What more do you want? They're going to go with that sort of angle, if they even get to that point.
I think that those there were 7 altogether arrested. Wong, Chan.
Oh, those people, yes. Well, you've got to remember, Raven, those people were the people from the Umbrella Movement, that Soros-funded Colour Revolution. And those people were supplied leadership. They were never the leaders. Joshua Wong, for example, old donkey face, he was released from jail after that 2 million person protest, because it was a peaceful protest, you see. As soon as he was released from jail, suddenly protests magically turned violent, and they attacked the government offices, smashing cameras, and police gave them free run of the place, of course. And they were telling people, because I have people on the ground right there, who I teach, of course, students. I can't divulge any names. You don't want him going to jail. He's stressed enough as it is. But he was there at the door, keeping people away from going in. But then you have the agitators saying, come on in, we've got rid of all the cameras, you can trust us. Come on in, we need more people. And everyone who went in the day after had the police kicking their door down and raiding them, trying to arrest them. Wow. No one talks about that either.
You're talking the Umbrella Movement.
This was in June of this year. The Umbrella Movement, I know the person who started it by accident, if you want to know Raven. He was out in Causeway Bay with the megaphone. He was all radicalized by the propagandists, and he went out there and he gathered a lot of people. And this was before the official Umbrella Movement started. But no sooner had enough people gathered, 20 minutes later they had trucks, roads blocked, helicopters, basically paradropped all this well-marketed, well-orchestrated paraphernalia everywhere. They had a stage assembled, and everything was A-OK now, because the official Umbrella Movement had arrived. And they had clearance to block roads, and they had all the coffee brewed and ready to go within 20 minutes.
I heard, Evan, that they even set up a stage for Bon Jovi.
Oh, they had a stage, yeah, that was assembled very, very quickly.
Yeah.
Is that the first thing you do in a protest? Oh, quick, assemble a stage. That's not going to be the first thing on your mind, is it? Yeah, that was one of the first things assembled.
Yeah.
I got a question for Evan there. That, the beginning that kicked off this extradition bill, the guy there that had murdered his girlfriend.
Well, that's a fantastically logical statement, isn't it? Because he murdered the girl in Taiwan. Taiwan already has an extradition bill. Not with China, and it's not China's business what Taiwan does. So they're saying, oh, well, we've got to deal justice in China for a Taiwanese crime. And that was also very silly. And they had the sad music and the slow motion camera, everything fading to black and white, play the piano slowly and somberly. We'd better get this bill through, please. And people went, this doesn't logically follow.
Is that guy in custody? He must be in custody, but...
I doubt it. And in fact, I don't believe any of that was genuine, because they don't usually latch on to anything that's true. This murderer was probably a setup as well. He might have very well murdered somebody, but it was all condoned by the powers that be, because otherwise, how did they plan the bill so quickly? Was it just sitting in the drawer ready to go with all the press releases that were released almost instantly, some of them even before any of the news had come out?
Yeah. Timing was too fast.
It wasn't an organic response, but the result of the extradition bill being announced, that was a very organic response. You had the Christians singing, and once that Joshua Wong was released from jail conveniently after the 2 million protest, suddenly you've got radicals and violence, and the Christians singing had disappeared. What a surprise.
Were they singing Kumbaya?
They were singing Hallelujah to the Lord over and over and over again. And they took turns. They'd do like a relay race all night. They'd just be singing the same song over and over again. And that's all gone. Now we've got the violent radicals, we've got safe houses for protesters, we've got underground bars where they organise, and you've got a lot of funding I think for one particular student, it was $65,000 he could pull from at any time for equipment. So a lot of people are supporting these protesters without actually protesting with funding, you see. Mothers and fathers of these children throwing money at them in order to keep going.
Interesting.
Because what have you got to lose? If the extradition bill's in, that's the end of your country. So you may as well throw some money at it.
All right, guys, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to get back onto a little bit of housing. I'm really happy you guys finally had a talk with each other. It's kind of important. Don't forget, guys, I need you guys on Mike in the Night. If you're wherever you're at, if you're available, then come on, if you can. So,
Okay.
all right. Thank you, Evan.
Hey, Mike.
Thanks.
Nice meeting you. Hey,
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
I was trying to get my ex to come on Mike in the Night. She's a 30-year Remax agent in Winnipeg.
Really?
Does all types of builds. Yeah, all types of builds and all this and that. Lots of stuff. I'm trying. She's very knowledgeable in the field. Like, she's sold thousands of homes and tons.
You should get her on trends in the housing market. The housing.
The more the merrier, right?
That's right. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Try.
Give it a try. Just tell her I'm good, or tell her I'm Portuguese or something.
Yeah, she's French.
Oh,
Stubborn.
Okay, but your girlfriend now is Portuguese, or she was.
No. I'm single.
Okay. All right.
Trying
Wink,
to
wink, said the raven. Cross the raven. Wink, wink. Yes.
Yeah, nevermore.
Nevermore, he said. All right, I'll see you guys.
Guy, have a good night. Bye. So that was that, guys. And that was really good discussion we had, a little interlude there. So Toronto and Vancouver homeowners see HELOC payments jump. So what is it? Is that their payments are going up because they're servicing more debt. And we got Sydney house sales resurge as political stability returns confidence in the property market. That's a lie, because there's not enough property turning over. Now they're turning over $1 million in property as opposed to $100 million that they did before. So there's not, for the amount of property turnover right now in Sydney that's turning over from the last quarter and the last month will take 100 years to go through their entire inventory in the city of Sydney. So there's not enough turning over. There's not enough money changing hands. Again, they hold rates in Canada and Australia. New Zealand scraps the target for 100,000 affordable homes to handle its crisis. Brody in the house. Bordy, holy smokes, I haven't seen you. HELOCs going up because more people are doing major renos rather than buying new. That's very true. Thanks, Bordy. Wow. I haven't seen this guy in ages. He used to come on the channel like a year ago, 2 years ago. What else we got going on? Jacinta Harden basically scraps the 100,000 affordable homes from Kiwi Build in New Zealand. No deal Brexit could hit house prices. That's a lie. It has all to do with the oversupply on the market and the middle class not being able to afford, and people completely bought out of market. Local people in their countries, English-speaking countries, in their own cities can't buy. Right? People are like, oh, Mike, why are you only targeting English-speaking countries? What about people in Brazil or people in Africa or Mexico? Because there's a huge gap in like, for example, Mexico, where there's people, locals, they just can't buy. Right? They're old money and they have a grandma or grandpa's house. They never upgrade or downgrade. They keep it in the family, right? Where in Canada, you got a lot of middle class and they got the families that you know what I'm saying? That can't get in the markets in their own Los Angeles, like school teachers. There was a school teacher that they interviewed in LA County that was like pretty much living in shelters, and he's been a high school teacher in LA County for 11 years. So that is why. It's because when the people, the middle class or the working poor, can't afford to buy in their own cities and have to migrate to Nevada or Arizona because, come on, give me a break. This is not right. Caddy Girl says 100,000 affordable homes. What a joke. Yeah, it is a joke. You know why? I'll tell you why it's a joke. It's one, because they lied about that and they try to get themselves in to get elected. And the Kiwi Build program with Phil Tyford was supposed to work. But you know what I would have did? I would have bid 100,000 well-paying middle-class jobs. 100,000 average-paying jobs. That's what I would have promoted. 100, because then if you have an average-paying job, then you have an average wage, and you could buy an average home. But you still can't buy the average home because it's still way, way beyond what people could afford to buy. And that's what's happening. Even if you increase minimum wage to $30 an hour, it won't make a difference because people still can't afford to buy anything. So Nijo says Rainier Mullah says we're slowly going towards an oligarchy. This time period for trying to succeed will really be important for our future's generations. That's 100 trillion%. Because I won't be alive 100 years from now to tell people how good it was in the 70s and 80s and how people could pay off a house in 7 years and people, didn't really, the average Joe could just get by and live a good life, buy 2 cars. Heck, he'd buy 2 cars, not 1. He'd have 2 cars in his parking lot. You know what I'm saying? And still not be in debt. Those days are gone, man. And I'm trying to let people know that, not owning a home is not a delusion or a dream. No, yeah, it's the American, the Canadian, the Western dream, sure. But you shouldn't have to sacrifice your entire life just to put a down payment on a house. Yep, there will be all sorts of affordable home prices if prices came down. The reason they're petrified... They're petrified of that is obvious. So they are petrified of what's going to happen because once you can't get the middle class or the first-time home buyer in the market, it's over. Rest in peace because it's over. So, guys, don't forget to join me, guys, on Mike in the Night. Guys, if you want to get on the channel, on the Mike Martin's channel, just go into my channel, guys, look up something. Look up your country. You'll find a video here. Like if you look up, I don't know, Germany. Boom. Look at all my videos on Germany. Some of them are not mine here, so be careful. When you look up stuff here, there I am, Germany in deep trouble. That's from 2 years ago. And, I don't know, look up, interest rates. Boom. Australia and interest rates going up. That was 7 months ago. Now they've gone down. Australia rises interest rates. Housing crisis. That's a year ago, guys. Housing simplification 1962. What a life. There's all kinds of stuff. Australia must raise interest rates next month. And that was a video I did a year ago. And I was still clinging to the fact that we could save this. That we could save this housing market. And man... Man, was I ever wrong. The amount of propping and government, just, look at this, man. Look at all the articles I've done for you. Look at all the stuff I've read. So we got Caddy Girl saying, I am a Canadian expat living in New Zealand for 24 years now. Caddy Girl, can you please add me to Skype? My Skype is Mike Martins 1980, MikeMartins 1980. If you want to come on the show and tell us your story, how you left Canada and now live in New Zealand, it would be very nice to hear from you. And it would be nice to hear from you to kind of get an understanding on what has happened, or if you've seen a massive transformation in the last 5 to 6 years of affordability slipping away from the Kiwi proper. And then, wow, there's a lot going on here. Rainier Mall says, Supreme Canon, I mean, the luxury single-family homes can be profitable from appreciation, but these are way out of reach for most. Yeah, and they're not, like, nice. You know what I'm saying? They're just average homes you'd see somewhere in, like, Oakland, California. Mr. E, for someone who can't read, you do a lot of reading, Mike. Yeah, I know. And Sure thing, Mike. Yes, I have seen a massive change in the last few years. Yeah, Catty Girl, add me on Skype. Mike Martins, MikeMartins, 1980 at gmail.com. If you guys want to add me, and then we could have you probably next week, next time you jump on, or next time I see you in the comments, you could send me a one-liner, and you could tell me what's happening in your neck of the woods, or what's been happening with the transformation of the great takeover. Oh, I got somebody adding me on Skype. Okay, wants to connect with you from Great Britain. All right, accept. There we go. Hi, I love your channel. Found it recently after searching for Hong Kong riots. Nice. Have you seen this on the timeline of the Elite's plans? That is for Mike in the Night. That's for Mike in the Night, buddy. When we do Mike in the Night, Saturday night's my time. Find out what it is in yours. It's probably early 3 in the morning there when I do Mike in the Night here. That's why it's Mike in the Night, right? Yeah, $80,000 home in Blaine, Washington, in view of 1,000 meters. Exact same house, $850 in White Rock. Exactly. It's disgusting. Disgusting. Okay, so guys, don't forget to support the channel by sharing a video. Let's get back at them and actually start sharing some of my videos and get me out there, guys. Also, guys, if you want to support this transmission with $1 a month through Patreon, Patreon's working really well for me. It helped me purchase this new microphone. Very flashy, but it works really well, so you could hear me in stereo. I was using this piece of crap. I've been 3 mics, $300 a mic, 3 mics in less than a year. I don't know why. I'm not damaging them. I'm not hitting them. I don't know why. It's probably my voice. And Patreon works, guys. $1 a month for the price of coffee. Supports my coffee habit, you know, and yeah. I stayed for my son. Now he's grown. Okay, that's in New Zealand. Supreme says it's ludicrous. Mike using a mic. Yeah! 3 mics, man. That's crazy, man. Brody, are you still putting stuff on your channel? Bordy. I call him Brody. Bordy, are you still putting stuff up on your channel, buddy? Let me go to your channel here. So this is he's got 369 subscribers. He posted something 3 days ago. Oh, he's got Dancing Kid on his channel. Yeah, you should do some walkarounds. I remember you did some mall walkarounds, walking around a mall. Here you go. Here you are in your car. Look, live what I should buy at Walmart. See, do more of these. MVP and the new God of War. Yeah, do more of these walking around talking stuff. Tell us what you're feeling, buddy. Been busy. Kid on the way. Bills to pay. Buddy, I got 3 kids. Essay. 3 kids, essay. Yeah, so don't subscribe to Bordy here if you guys get some time. Ooh, you went to Greece? Dude, you went to Greece? That's probably your wife, yeah. Man, you went to Greece. Driving around. Well, that was a nice car. Wow, it's really nice, buddy. Nice. You should slow down a little bit, just panoramic. Oh, I've had that in Mexico where they put the 2 doves there on the bed. Nice. Oh, he's going to Portugal next time. Yeah, baby. Portugal. Go to the Algarve right here. Algarve, Portugal. Algarve. You'll love the Algarve. It's more, you're young. You'll love the Algarve. You'll love the Algarve. It's pretty much kind of European Florida. It's like Florida, but European style Florida. It's pretty much warm all year round. You got golf courses. You got lots of places you could rent out. Lots of places to shop. Lots of places to surf. Watch out for surfing there. It's dangerous, guys, in Portugal. Some of the biggest waves in the world. Hidden beaches, coral rock, stuff from the colonial times. Remember, guys, Portugal was neutral during World War I and II, so a lot of it was preserved. So there's lots of places in Portugal to check out. It's very welcoming. Expats love it as a retirement country. And yeah, learn some Portuguese, you know, and then if you get bored of Portugal, you could always go to Brazil, you know. Yeah. So, anyways, guys, I'm pretty much done. I'm tired, guys. It's been a long day. I know it's only 8:45 p.m., but I'm tired. It's been a long day. Lots of work, lots of things going on. Preparing the house. I got construction workers coming here tomorrow to do some work. It's so much work, so much on the go right now. Trying to get the house ready for winter. We got cold weather is going to be hitting us in about 6, 7, 8 weeks. Not cold, cooler weather. And then it gets really cold in January, February, and then March comes back nice. Spring comes again. And in March is nice. We're cutting our grass. Caddy Girl saying, at one point, the house down the street sold 4 times in 1 year as the price kept going up. Well, Caddy Girl, I'm going to let you know, that's actually shadow flipping. So what happens is if, let's say me and I have another person, my neighbor here, we're buying the same house in New Zealand, but we're selling it between each other. And in that time we're selling them to each other, we're laundering more and more money into the country because we've made a legal transaction sale between each other 6 times. And then this way I just cleared $6 million in New Zealand. Right? So that's how it works. It's called shadow flipping, and it's happened. There was one house in Vancouver that sold 23 times in 1 year. It was a tear down. It was a piece of junk, and it was bought off-site, and it was being sold back and forth to the same corporation, right? And they laundered probably like $30-40 million in that one house, right? So Supreme Cannon was on a parts run. Yeah, surfing videos. Yeah, it's in Nazaré. Yeah, Nazaré. Nazaré is in Portugal, and they have some of the biggest waves on the planet by far. And this is it here. Their waves are, they always have a guy on a sea-doo up there, always making sure that this guy doesn't die. So look at the waves, guys. That's in Nazaré, Portugal. It's a phenomenon that's been happening pretty much forever. And this is basically a surfer's doom. I mean, you have to be a really good surfer to ride them kind of waves. I mean, you don't play games with these waves, guys. Especially with this, you need a sea-doo